What's up? What's up? Y'all ready to get started? Let's see. Got a couple people on here. I know we had a lot of people sign up for this one, which is amazing. We are going to go over a lot of stuff today, but I don't actually know if we're going to get through everything in the 1 hour that we have for today together. So bear with me. We'll try to get through some stuff. If you are watching, you're joining us live, I want to know where you're calling from. Who's here? Javier, I know where you're calling from. Chile. So it's good to see you, Javier. Let's see who else is on here. Let's see. Oh, I forgot. I can't see actually. Unless you guys comment, I can't see who's watching this. So I can just see how many people are watching. So if you're just joining us, let me know where you're at, where you're calling from. Shoot, throw in there how many units you got, because today is really like that +3 side. Like you hit 3, you start growing to 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, whatever. There's a lot that kind of shifts. There's a lot that kind of shifts in the mind. There's a lot of stuff that shifts in the business. And I really want to be clear on what that looks like for anybody that's like, what you might have one and you got like 5 or 6 leads in the works and you're like, well, I don't know what to do next. So we're going to go through a lot of that stuff. We're going to talk about a lot of this stuff. The only thing I want to make sure is I am on the right mic. Yes, perfect. So you guys can hear me okay, I imagine. Everybody's coming on here. So South Carolina, not far from me. Richmond, Virginia. I don't know if you ever seen Coach Carter. They said, Rich what? Richmond. Yeah, I like that movie. Let's see. What's up, Joe? All right. So let's see. Let me figure out how we're going to get started. So first things first, if you're just joining us, maybe this is the first time you ever watch this, you're new to the group. I'm Kyle Fugit. Me and my wife do all of our Airbnb and hotels together. We currently manage about 100 doors. We own some of those. We manage some of those, and that's spread across 5 states. So just to kind of give you high level, like we've been doing this for a long time. We've coached a lot of people. We actually coached in another mastermind for a long time. And we do a lot of just, I don't know, we're here to break the STR industry. That's all I can say. We're really trying to change everything, how things have been done, how people used to get leads, how people are getting leads today. But in that is kind of what we're talking about today of like, okay, you hit 3, you hit 4, you hit 5, right? So love what I do, love this, love people winning, love people growing, love just to see people leaving W-2s, seeing what's possible. Like, I love it all. Like, I truly, truly love it. I think I have a problem with like attaching myself to people's results. And so anyways, we'll get started nonetheless. What's up, John? I don't know why you're still stuck in Cali, but you are. So we got some East Coasters here. We got a Chile, San Francisco. All right. So let's talk about a couple things. First thing is like the first bullet point in that list, and I'll try to hit all of them, is when to scale and when to pause. Okay, so like if you are fresh, if you have like 0, 1, or 2, I'm going to tell you, like, depending on what the goal is. Like if your goal is to replace W-2 income, your goal is to make as much money as fast as humanly possible. Secret, I would never pause. Not for the first, like, until you hit that first goal. Like I really would not pause. You always keep the lead gen going. Until you hit a point where you're like, all right, like let's say we're about to onboard like 7 units. Like Allie and I went through this. We had like 3 or 4 and we're onboarding like 6, but we needed a VA. We needed the systems. We needed to start setting this stuff up, but we didn't have any income coming in. So it was like, how are you going to hire 1 or 2 VAs, or how are you going to hire all this software when you like don't have any money coming in? And that's now why we charge onboard fees. I think I got a message from somebody that's on here last night about, maybe it was Austin. I don't remember who it was. Anyways, that's one reason we started charging onboard fees, because you get paid up front, and that can help you, change locks, or, change new locks, or that can help you really kind of like project some income and like funnel that back in the business so you can start helping people, or you start hiring people to help you. But like when you stop scaling is, in my opinion, either when you become really heavy on the expense side and you haven't started generating the money yet, like when I say heavy, I mean like you're launching like 6 at one time. I would pause for like a month, get your 6 launched. As soon as you kind of come into that, like, hey, we got 2, 3 launched, we're just looking for some others. Like that's when we start picking up more leads. Like we start cold calling, we start lead genning, we start posting, like we really go back to work. If you get through, like, let's say you have 0, then you go to like 5, then you have 10, you're doing, let's say you're doing 10K a month. And then you're like, okay, cool, I want to scale again. And like you start growing. Once you hit 10, you actually start scaling a little bit differently. You have a little bit more confidence behind you, a little bit more. The conversations happen differently. You're starting to teach realtors. Like you're starting to do these things that like at 1 you couldn't do, but at 10 you can. And that might actually involve you buying some contracts or buying another company, buying another short-term rental co-hosting company. And I would, if you're, so like we have somebody at super high level, Jill, she's got 65 listings, I think. She called me like 2 days ago and she was like, hey, we're buying like 6 contracts and I like really need to talk this through. So if you're like, you got 65, you buy 6, like it's really not that big of a deal. But if you're at 10 and you buy 6, or if you're at 10 and you buy 12, like then we need to have a conversation because, oh, Viola, there you go. That's who it was. Sorry, I just saw your text. Saw your message. So like if you're buying like the same size that you have now, the way you've been onboarding is not going to work. Like there's things that are going to have to happen that are going to like, you're going to break your systems and you're going to have to like re-go and regrow. But when you pause, right? Like let's say like, hey, I'm going to buy these 10 or I'm onboarding 5 or whatever, 12, I don't care. When you hit that big gap, you're going to stop cold calling. You're going to stop messaging. Like you're just naturally going to do that, but never turn somebody away. Like if somebody calls you inbound and is like, hey, I want to switch right now, on the front end, you're like, yes. On the back end, you're like hair's on fire, trying to run around, trying to hire it out, trying to help, like get it, whoever you can to help, runners, realtors, cleaners, like whatever you have to do. On the front end, you technically don't stop on the inbound. On the outbound, you'll slow down. But you have to have some time to like get your feet under you. Don't go insane. Now, again, if your goal is like, I need to make as much money as humanly possible, you don't stop. Like just to be as savage as possible. You quit the excuses. You just go for it because your back's against the wall and you're trying to get out of a job or you're trying to make rent or trying to make your mortgage, whatever, I don't care. You have to keep going and you just have to buckle down and keep going. If you're in a good place, you're like, hey, I hit my first goal. I'm at 10K a month. I'm good. I don't need anything. Like, I don't really need to struggle to keep growing. Cool. Like, you're not technically pausing, but you're also not growing so aggressively that it matters. But at the end of the day, like your outbound lead gen, when you get so overwhelmed on your onboarding, then you slow down your outbound. I swear if I hear somebody turning people away on the inbound, like because they're like too busy, I will fly to wherever you're at and I will body slam you because when you do that, you, 1, are just turning money away, but 2, those people talk to each other. So we did this. We turned away somebody. I was like, hey, we're like 3 weeks out. And he was like, no, I really need somebody now. And I'm like, sorry, man. It's not, we can't do it. And I ended up calling him back like 2 weeks later. And he's like, bro, we already signed with somebody that like took us on like straight. Like they didn't turn us away or anything. And I was like, okay, like I understand. And he had like 2 or 3 people ask him who he was using. And I was like, oh my God, if I would have just said yes, we would have had 2 or 3 leads right behind him. And we could have set a timeline. Like, you want to get us to say yes. You want to get them to sign the contract. You want them to sign the onboard fees and all that stuff. And then like, you could just work that out in the back, on the back end. Like, yes, don't overwhelm yourself. But at the same time, like, we're here to make money. And you have a business that has to make money. You have bills that have to get paid. So we don't slow down just because like we have a few more that we need to onboard. We may slow down on the outbound, but if something comes inbound, we're taking it. That's the best lead gen that we can have is referrals, period. That's like the best lead gen, period. If you can have referrals that are coming in, you don't turn those away. You would actually offer something a little different if you need to accommodate them if they came from a friend or if they came from somebody that you knew or a realtor connection. Because also, if they go back to your realtor connection and say, hey, like they said no, because they don't want to pump any more out right now, they're a little too overwhelmed, Now your realtor is going to stop referring you if they don't call you. So we have to be really clear. Like, it's not an immediate action, result, consequence. It's like dominoes. So if we start turning away people that come in inbound, we have a problem. I don't care how many you're trying to onboard. I'll give you a great example. We were in a partnership last year. Well, I guess it was the beginning of this year. We onboarded 52 or 56 properties in 1 month. And they were all in New York, and I live in Georgia. And what happens is you just figure it out. I tell you that. You don't say like, I'm not going to get this done. It's more of like, how can I get this done? And so, but we're not with that partnership anymore. So we don't have those under the 100 that I said at the very, very beginning. Those 52 or whatever is like they went with that partnership. We removed ourselves out of it. It wasn't a great partnership. It didn't align with what we wanted to do. So anyways, long story short, we broke our processes up and we said, hey, like this isn't how we can onboard. We can't go walk every single property. I can't pay a cleaner $150 to walk every single property and do all this stuff. We just kind of pieced it together and launched it and said, okay, like when you go, we need some follow-up questions. We have these, we have this, we have this. And so like we just went through this huge like Excel file, like checklist structure for all the teams. Like we just redid everything. But we didn't say like we can't do it. We just said, how can we do it? So when we start talking about like scaling, bringing in properties, cold call, whatever, like how to onboard 10 at a time, it's going to be hell. Like I'll just go ahead and tell you that. If you're going to onboard 10 or 15 properties at one time, it is mind-blowing. Like it is tough, but you can still do it. Okay. Now, you may want to pause that to like get your feet up under you, be able to breathe, maybe take a little vacation after whatever. But when it's time to work, it's time to work. And so we're not pausing anything unless we have so much onboarding to come in and we're like, okay, we don't really know what we're doing. Okay. Like we got to get our feet up under us. The other time that I would like briefly pause if you realize you're doing everything, you're manually sending the messages. Like I have a lady that I'm going to talk to this week. She owns like 8 STRs and manages and then cleans another 13, I think. She got 20 total, but she actually owns and operates 8 and then cleans for another. And she's like, I'd love to grow. But she has a notebook for all of her bookings. She has pictures of her calendar. She doesn't have direct booking. She doesn't have a PMS. I don't even know if she books on. I don't think she books on Airbnb. Like it's crazy. And she's like, I'd love to make more money. I'd love to do all this stuff. And I'm like, you can't grow anymore, like at all. Like, don't pick up any more properties. And she's like, no, I'm turning them all away. Every time they come in, I'm like, I can't, time-wise of my day, I can't do this. There's no way I can keep up. And I'm like, yeah, like this is crazy. So if you're in that situation, like stop growing, work on your systems, which we'll talk about in a little bit about like how to still have that personal connection with your systems and your automations. So that's another time that I would pause is if you just realize like you're on your phone 24/7, things aren't working, messages are failing, like things aren't going through, you're missing bookings, like, okay, like slow down. Let's pause for a second. Let's dedicate 1 week into getting your messaging right, your systems right, your pricing right, like all that stuff. Because at that point, we're like maximizing and optimizing. It doesn't matter to grow. We're going to make more money, period, in that setup. Okay. Like in that week of organization, if you will, you're going to make more money, period, in the story. Okay. We're going to like really fix systems. So that's another time I would stop and kind of pause and say like, we need to focus on systems. We need to focus on operation, get your time back, understand what we're doing. And then we go wide open again, right? We got to set the next goal because every time we set a goal and then we hit that goal, that creates a new reality. So every hit goal creates a new reality and every new reality creates a new goal. So once you get there, you're like, okay, what's next? And you start building up on that. So I hope I addressed that correctly. But like, if you have a place where you need to start making money as soon as possible, I don't want to hear any excuses about being overwhelmed. Like, just to be honest, super savage. If you have bills to pay and you can't pay them because you're like, like you're trying to grow this or you're trying to leave a W-2 or whatever. If you're in a position that you need to make more money, I do not want to hear excuses. You do not slow down. We're wide open. Okay. Period. End of story. We then can afford to be comfortable and maybe slow the scale down or whatever. Maybe look at buying another company, whatever the goal is. Okay. Don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I will if I have to. Most common mistakes hosts make after 3 doors is 1 is easy, 2 is easy, 3 is kind of easy, and they think they can scale from 3 to 10 on the exact same problem, like the exact same things they're doing for 3 or for 2. So like we just, right before this call, we have office hours. We have like 2 or 3 hours of office hours for the community. And Kyle is, not me, but another Kyle is launching his very first listing, which is amazing. And we got on there because he built the Airbnb listing. He set up the PMS. He's using Hospitable. And then it was like, hey, what about my pricing? Like, we got to set up the price. So we got on the office hours. He came on. We screen shared, did the whole thing. He set up Price Labs. I gave him like a 30-minute like rundown on exactly how to do it, why to do it, what to do. And then like now he's got to go back because he doesn't have any like messaging set up. He doesn't have VRBO set up yet. Like it's brand new. So he's like still in that like blueprint of growth. Of setup. But what would happen is if he's not like, let's just say he doesn't have a group, he doesn't have a pod or somebody helping, whatever. He'd probably just go. He would just be like, yep, sure, I'll just answer the messages. Like, it's not that hard. Like, 1 is really easy to like manage the back end because it's just 1. Now, what would happen is he would go and launch a second one. Still, 1, he wouldn't have Price Labs. He would be like trying to manually set prices, usually. But let's just say he decided to get Price Labs, right? He saw something online or whatever. So he has Price Labs, he has Airbnb, and he has a PMS, but nothing set up. He's just answering messages. What will happen is he'll get number 2 and do the exact same thing. No Verbo, which he's probably like, oh yeah, Airbnb starts booking. Okay. No Verbo, VRBO, no Verbo, no messaging structure, no nothing. So then he gets number 2, does the exact same thing. Sits down, tries to price it out, whatever, cool. Then he gets number 3. At this point, we're just answering a bunch of inquiries. We're starting to be on our phone. Like there's no systems whatsoever put in. There's no nothing. He's just like freelancing the whole thing. Then he gets number 3 and number 4, and then he gets 2 more yeses, and now he's launching number 6, and he's like, I can't even eat dinner. So we had somebody join. They had 10 properties the exact same way. They bought a management company, like from 0 to 10 or whatever it was, 0 to 8, and then picked up a couple more. No systems whatsoever. So what I see, and I see this a lot, I see people at 10 or at 8, I'll say like 8 to 10, they grow based off like the operations from 1, like legit. And they're just like, oh yeah, I'll just keep like adding them on. So 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, 10. It's the exact same process. So what we want to do is we want to say, hey, number 1. So like Kyle's launching his first one. Number 1, go pull all the templates out of the group for all your messaging structure, push all that through, set this sucker up, and we're going to set it up on autopilot as close as possible, as seamless as possible. Okay. So we're going to do all that for your first one. Yes, it's overkill for your first one. I get it. I don't need a PMS for my first one. Whatever. I don't care. If the goal is to go to 10K a month or 20K a month or 50K a month, we have to set it up as a business from the get-go, not as a side hustle. The people that run from 3 to 10 in the exact same process, they operate it as a side hustle. They're just helping somebody out on unit 1, helping somebody else on unit 2. They throw it on Airbnb. They're messaging some guests. It's not that big of a deal. That is a freaking side hustle. That is not a sustainable business. If you want to get to a point where you want to sell this thing one day, you have to set up the systems and structures from the beginning. If not, people are just like buying. They wouldn't buy it at all because there's no systems there. But then they're just like trusting you to sell them something at a super low value so they can try to make their money back. So we have to set it up. So the best way I could explain that is the most common mistake overall is they don't run it as a business. They don't set it up as a business from day one. They wait till they have 15 properties to get a bookkeeper. They wait till they get 15 properties to get a PMS. They wait till 15 properties to get the messaging structure or the guest book guide or insurance, like Safely Insurance or whatever. I don't care. They wait, right? Today, I think I've been beating a dead horse with like everything I've been talking about. I think Kyle actually interrupted me earlier. I was like, dude, I got it. So forgive me for beating a dead horse, but I want you to understand that I'm seeing it, and I've always seen it, but I'm seeing it more and more and more and more. With all the properties become STRs, more people trying to learn how to co-host, but they're just trying to like sign up for Airbnb, do it on their own on the side, like with no structure. There's nothing there. Like there's nothing. We're like building our house on sand, right? We're not even building our house on a nice foundation. So that's the most common mistake, right? And we can dissect that, and I've already been through that, and I'm here, like, I like to hear myself talk, but I don't think you guys like to hear me talk that much. Systemize and automate without sacrificing guest experience. So this is kind of like relation off the first two. When we set up things like your automatic messages, and it's funny because I had this conversation this week. When we set up the messages, it is not like confirm booking, thanks. It is not like your check-in details are this. It's like when we set up the messages, we set them up as if we are texting them. First of all, that's like super low level. Like they're very personal messages that are set up. But then you have, for instance, placeholders. So if you don't know anything about the messaging structure, there's placeholders for like the guest name, the booking, the property, all this stuff. So like you would make your message, which we have a lot of templates for. You would make your message so you can just copy, paste out these templates. Message is very personal. Okay. Now in between, they might ask questions and you can answer them. But there's things like Host AI or Host Buddy. It's an AI messaging guest messaging software. And you can train it and teach it on like how to act and how to speak and like what to sound like Southern hospitality or whatever. But that is like when people are getting answers back every 2 minutes, like within 2 minutes from this AI, and it sounds like you and it sounds like a real person, that is automation and that is systems without sacrificing. On the other hand of that too, is like you'll have a link go out for your guest book, let's just say. And this is something for the hotels. We just demoed a company called Akia. And Akia is a messaging software that's kind of like Host Buddy for STRs or for short-term rentals, but it's for hotels. Like Host Buddy doesn't work with some of the softwares that we need for the hotel side. So when we start using them, like they are rated or coming to be rated like the #1 for self-check-in hotels because it seems, they get like so much information about the property and it seems like they're literally just talking to somebody. So I did a demo with them and I realized like what they're talking about and it's really, really, really cool. So taking that idea and putting it back on the STR side. And that looks like your guest book, like your touch stay guide or whatever, your Canva docs. I don't care what you're using. But if you use a touch stay guide and you have like the guest book, you're going to literally have all this. It's overly communicating with all these pictures of what to do in the area, where to go, recommendations, where to eat, like, maybe some events in the area, an event calendar, like all of this stuff. It is an automated thing, right? It's an automated message. It's a system. People are like, hey, where do I go kayaking? Where's the best place to get tubing? Whatever. And maybe you have a discount code in there, right? That's just perfect to have something like that, especially at the top recommended place. They want to know where to go. They want to know, like, if you booked a place, if you live in, let's just say like Anthony's in South Carolina, right? I don't know where Anthony's from. If Anthony wants to go to Texas and he's never been to Texas, he wants to go to Dallas, Texas. And he's like, hey, I want to go to Dallas, Texas. I don't know anything to do there, right? We're going to like Yelp and like put it in some groups, going to Texas. What do you guys recommend? But imagine having like a guest book that literally showed everything that was a local favorite to that STR or that place or that hotel, whatever. It said, hey, look, this is my favorite place to eat. This is my favorite coffee shop. When you get done after 5 p.m., go to Gas Monkey Garage. Do all these things. Go to Magnolia, which is in Waco, not Dallas, but go to all these places. This is what it's a 30-minute drive. It's this much money. Here's the link to go book it. This is the experience that I had. You personalize the guest book to the point where you are almost begging them to go to these places. Please go have the experience that we had, right? If you want to get like even more personal, One of the hotels that we have, it's set up where if it's like a 7-night stay, we have something called a rainy day message. And it's like day 3. It's like, hey, if you are experiencing rain and you can't like sit out on the balcony and you guys want to go into town, go to these places. This taco shop is like the number one in Acadia or whatever. So we have to, like, we put our own experience back into there. And you can have like the guest books in person at the STRs or the cabins, whatever. You can still do that. But when they get it before they ever get there, and they can explore the place, and they got a good, clear view on where it's located, what's around it, all these things. It didn't take you to do anything. It's just a link, and you just built the touch stay guide or Canva doc or whatever you want to use. We stayed at a hotel. It was like a beachfront boutique hotel like a year and a half ago, I think it was. And it was a Canva. It was a link to a Canva doc. It was like 14 pages long or something. And it was just about everything about like all the amenities at the hotel, places to eat, where to go, coffee, dinner, breakfast, whole 9 yards, where to rent kayaks, jet skis, everything. So you give them a very clear, like not an itinerary, but like a very clear thing to do while they're there. And that is that like front end guest messaging, that front end guest experience that they just absolutely love. And like you would love it too, right? Like you be in the car driving there and you're just like, whoever's, of course, you don't do this while you're driving, but the passenger is like looking through the stuff. I mean, all the way down to like, you're looking, I don't know, you're trying to kill time in between some meetings or picking up the kids or sitting on the toilet or whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter. And you're just looking through and you're like, hey, all right, I understand where we're at. I understand what's around us. So they can get the full experience too. They can maximize their experience there. So you systemize and automate. You're actually enhancing the guest experience. Like, this lady I was talking to, she's got 20 units. She's doing everything by hand. She's messaging. She told me legit, if they book 6 months out from now, literally, she books them and she says they have to trust me. I think what she said, they have to trust my word that the house is theirs, and then nobody's going to book over them. And then I just collect payment. And I was like, what? That's it? She's like, yeah, like, I'll send them a text that says like booking confirmed or something like that. But like a month out or 14 days out, I'll send them another text saying, hey, like I'll send you your reservation check-in information like 2 days before or something like that. And then 2 days before, she just texts like door code and address. And I'm like, so they don't have any idea of what they're going to do. She's like, well, they always come, like they usually just come back every year. That's why they call me. I'm like, I don't care. You're telling me that experience manually is better than what 50%, I don't know, like the worst of the automations could ever be? Like, that's crazy. Like we're just disconnected here. Like that doesn't make any sense. So the more systemizations, the more automations that we set up, security deposits automatedly, like if you charge a security deposit in the PMS, you can automatically send it back to them 2 days after. You shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be issuing refunds manually. Like that should all be automatically. You click refund, cancel, whatever, it's automatically send the money back. That enhances guest experience because they don't want to be chasing you for refunds. They don't want to be chasing you for security deposits. Like, please understand, if you have no systems at all, get some. That's it. That's all I can say. Just get some. Okay? Period. All right. Oh, we're 33 minutes in. Okay, cool. The last one really is like more units does not equal more money, but we'll talk about that in a second. I've talked for 30 minutes straight. So I want to kind of get like some feedback on kind of where everybody's at. Like we've got a handful of people that are on here live with us, which is amazing. I want to get some feedback. Like how many units are you at now? What's the goal? Do you have a monetary goal? Like whatever. Like I'll give you a second to put that in the chat. Because I'm like super curious on kind of who we're talking to here. Let's see. Because I'm if you're at 10 and you want to go to 25, that's a different conversation versus 0 to 10, right? Like, and I want to explain the last one by more units does not equal more money in a specific way to kind of the audience that we're talking to here. So do me a favor, put it in the chat. how many units you have. It takes it's like a 2-minute delay, I think. So I'll give you a second to do that. And in the meantime, Viola said we're at 0 scale. Okay. In the meantime, talk about a couple of things. Like if you are just getting started, this is like so off topic, but we talk about automating and softwares and all that stuff. If you're looking at PMS systems, you've got your first property about to launch, looking at leads, whatever. I like to say OwnerRez. OwnerRez is what I use. We started with Hospitable, we went to Guesty, then we went to OwnerRez. Love OwnerRez. I know Kyle, what I was just talking about, Kyle, he just started with Hospitable. So that's cool. And then like pricing, we use Price Labs. Like that's a big system and automation that you need to do. So OwnerRez, Price Labs, of course, Airbnb, of course, VRBO. TouchStay is pretty cheap. That's for your guest books. If you wanted to do like a free version of the guest book, you could do Canva. Let's see what else. What else? So for insurance, we use Safely, but I think we're actually looking at Happy Guest. We were just talking about this on the call too. We met, I think Allie, my wife, met the CEO of Happy Guest at the conference 2 weeks ago. So we're going to have them on and look at that. Let's see. Slack is a good one for team communication, or you started with WhatsApp, but Slack is pretty good. Let's see. What else? Yeah, I guess that's like the solid like tech stack for automations. That's probably what I would say. And then there's automation in each one, right? So pricing has its own systems. And when I say systems and automations, it's like last minute bookings, far out bookings, setting seasonality around like holidays and minimum night stays, all that kind of stuff. So that would be like for Price Labs. For OwnerRez, you've got, your payment processing, and you have your security deposits, and you have your guest messaging, and just like your interactions, right? Like all of those are going to be your systems and automating. And then for your TouchStay guides, like that's of course like knowing the area. So these are like this is just tech stack is what I would say to get started. That's where you're at. So Price Labs, of course, Airbnb and VRBO. I don't even like to list those here, but tech stack would be Price Labs, PMS, so either OwnerRez or Hospitable, and then TouchStay. So, and you could really get deep into that, and you can spend a lot of money on softwares, which I don't really recommend it, but you can. Okay. Oh, Canva. Absolutely need Canva. So, all right. So we got 1, we got 2, and we got 0. So cool. When we talk about scaling, then more units doesn't equal more money. But at 0 and at 1, I don't care how much they make. Right? If the goal, like Austin said, 2 units, first goal is $10K a month, then you should never say no. Like, as bad as that sounds, don't say no until you hit 10K. If you get to like 8 and you're like, hey, I'm getting kind of comfortable here, but I still need to push, you could go for a bigger property, spend a little bit more money on the bigger property, and then you're like washing the owners, right? Maybe you don't look at like how much it makes. You're looking at the owner side. Like for us, we got to a point where we're like, I don't really care what it makes. I want to deal with the owner. I want to deal with the best owners, period. And it's just because we just kind of throw them in the system, right? Allie and I are not really onboarding properties anymore. Like we just check them. That's about it. We do some optimization, we do some pricing, and we just check them. So it really doesn't matter. We're just supporting anything that comes our way. If I'm going to headhunt, then I am going to go after the bigger properties, obviously, because it's a better use of my time. But if you're at 1, 2, or 0, and your first goal is 10K, depending on what the goal is and how fast you want to get there, you're not saying no. You are literally picking up every property you can. Now, identifying where you're at in the market, like what market you're in. I used to have some students in Birmingham, and the houses generated like $300 a month for them, and that was it. And they had I think they were going to they had like 15. I cannot remember how many they had, like 10 or 15, and they just weren't making any money. And I was like, dude, you can't even hire a VA. Like you're making more money cleaning the place than you are managing the place. And because they started having to clean them, like to make more money, and which is not a problem. I think she ended up starting a big cleaning company there. But like, understand your market. Understand that we're not going after like crappy houses. But I don't care if it's a studio. I don't care if it's 5-bedroom. I don't care at all. Like, I get super savage on this side, and we just say yes to, one, build the confidence, build the experience. Build the confidence, build the experience. The more clients you have, the better your referral network is. So think about that. Like, if you start saying no to everybody, you're not just saying no to one person, you're potentially saying no to 3. And you don't know how many properties they have. So like, I had a lead that I talked to for personally, and she ended up having 3 or 4 properties total just spread out. And that, I would have never knew that if I would have just said, hey, I don't care nothing about your house. Like, I'm not going to do it. So more money, more units does not equal more money, obviously. But I want you to look at the money side first. Like, if the goal is 10K a month, yes, we're going to have, like, oh man, my mind goes 100 different directions with this, but understand more units does not equal more money. Period. In the story. We all understand that. There's some super high-end properties. We've got one that pays us like close to $4,000 a month. It's a very high-end property. And I've got some that pay me like $750 a month. I never hear from them. They're just amazing. And I'm like, it runs. It's a nice place. It's nowhere near the top tier, but I wouldn't just like get rid of it. Like, that doesn't make any sense, because I look at the owner first. Now, if the owner was a pain in the butt at $4K a month, I'm going to deal with it. I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it. At $700 a month or $500 a month or $1,000 a month, if the owner is super pain in the butt, you look at your income, you look at your expenses, and you look at what you're bringing home. And if what you're bringing home isn't enough, you're not firing the owner. If it is more than enough, you're firing the owner. So like, understand that. But we could go after properties. Like, if you go to Scottsdale, Arizona, they're renting for $1,000 a night. You go to Blue Ridge, they're renting for like $350 a night, or, well, it depends, right? Depends on the size of the house. But like, I'm in Blue Ridge, and we've got friends that are in Scottsdale. So if you go up there and you charge 15 or 20%, you're making a whole lot more money as if you're charging 20, 25% on a house that does $300 a night. Obviously, do the math. So what I would say is, if you're in the growth mode, so Anthony, Austin, Viola, if you're in the growth mode, we're just growing. We're just picking up as many units as possible. We're looking at a unit count. We're not looking at an income amount until we hit the income amount. Like, we're just getting deals. That's it. We're getting paid on onboard fees. We're getting paid every month. When we get to a certain point on the money side, then we can start converting and say, hey, like, that owner sucks. Kick him out. This house only makes $500 a month. Kick him out. We're going after the deals that are making $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month. So just to be clear, right? Now, we have some people. I used to work with this guy. I was in Seattle. He had a really good sales job, still works there. I think he's making like, I don't know, between $200 and $300, but loved it. Like, loved who he was working with, loved the company. And he was like, hey, I don't really want to quit. I just want to produce some side income because I really love real estate, really love the STR stuff. I was like, cool. He's like, I'm going to be super picky. And I was like, that's cool, as long as you understand, like, you're going to say no to a ton of people. But when you say yes, it's going to make a lot of money. So it may be like 10 months before you get your first deal. He was like, no problem. I was like, okay, depending on how picky you want to be. Okay. His first deal literally took him like 8 months to do, because he said no like 50 times to other people. And it's not because that was his first deal that he talked to. He like literally said no 50 times. That first deal started paying him like $3,000 a month. And then the neighbor came over and signed the neighbor. And then the neighbor across the street came over and signed him. And they were all the same floor plan. He was doing like $9,000 a month. Seen him at the conference, the STR WealthCon. Seen him at the conference 2 weeks ago. He's got like 14 units or something now. And they're all super nice properties. Like, all of them are super, super nice properties. And I was like, bro, like, that's amazing. But he was not stuck between a rock and a hard place. He just wanted to make some extra income, but he was a very high-end person too. Like, he wasn't like, he was just like, no, I'm good. But he hired a VA with his first STR. And I was like, hey, that's what you want to do? Cool. Like, that's great. But he already had a solid cushion of income coming in. So it really didn't matter. For most people, they don't have that. So just to be clear, most people do not start with a solid cushion income. If that's the case, they're not trying to start a new business. They're just there. So just to be clear, like, nobody here's oddball when you're like, hey, I'm trying to scale as fast as possible because I don't want to be broke anymore. Cool. Let's work. Let's go to work. Let's start getting deals. Let's start making calls. Let's start messaging people. Let's start working with realtors. Let's start building that network out so we can start picking up deals. And at the beginning, don't care how much money you're making on each deal. You're just signing deals. You get in the habit of closing, and it just trickles from there. Like it doesn't even trickle. It just pours from there. You start getting yeses. You start understanding the onboard fees. You start understanding signing contracts. You start understanding what it feels like to get paid. That's the most important part of all of it. Period. End of story. Okay. Let's see. So now once you get to like 10K a month, if that's the goal, and you're like, all right, now I'm only going after, bigger properties. Is it David? David in the group has like 13. No, I think it's 15 now. And he's like, hey, I'm good. Like, he's making good money. He's only taking high-end properties. He's like, I will grow like maybe 2 or 3 a year if that's the case. Like, I'm good. Like, he's doing well. He loves his owners. His owners love him. They're beautifully designed. He actually called me on one property that was a really, really nice house. The decor sucked, but it was on this like peninsula. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but like 6 feet off the edge of the house was the water on 3 sides of the house. Like it literally was like rock shore into the ocean. And it was wickedly cool. It was for sale. They were struggling. They needed some help. He was going to manage it as an STR. And he called me. I was like, I don't know about this decor. What do you think? I'm like, bro, this house is killer. Like, I don't even care about the decor. This house is insane. And he was like, yeah, but as long as the owners are okay, I'll work with them. But I'm not taking this house unless like X, Y, and Z happens. That's the point that you want to get to. You want to get to the point where you're like, it's a cool house and all, but like, I don't care if it does $300,000 a year. Don't really care. If you don't fix this because it doesn't align with my brand, I don't want anything to do with you. Period. End of story. He has the luxury of doing that. You don't. So don't think that way. The goal is to get there, but you're not there yet, and that's okay. Right? Maybe there is somebody here that's that's at that point. Like Veronica has like, I don't know. She just partnered with somebody else. Veronica has like, she's usually on here, so she might be watching. Veronica has 18 or something like that, 18 or 20. And she's at that point. Like she could say that. She could do that. We can do that. You need to get to the point where you could do that. Okay. So, and we start looking at owners and we start looking at properties. We don't care about the number count. Like you could do 10 that all made you $4,000 a month. You know what that means? It means your overhead's super low and your net is super high. So you're netting like 90% of everything, 95% of everything that comes in. Like legit. You know, like one VA managing 10. If you have a VA, you could use HostBuddy. So at 10, your expenses super, super low. Income is super, super high. If they're all doing $4,000 a month, you're in a great position. That like is amazing. Okay. All right. Let's see. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Any questions? You guys got a question? Make sure you throw it in the chat. I'll answer it. Actually, it doesn't even matter what the question is. Like you're struggling on a listing or you need some help with something. Don't care. Let's see. Making sure I don't miss anything. So scaling should not mean losing control, 100%. But if you do it by yourself with no help and no systems, it's going to be tough. Let's build for. Yeah, I guess that's really about it. I mean, it's 48 minutes in, and I didn't think we were going to get through it. I just talk too fast sometimes. But I like to beat a dead horse as well. So I just want to be clear. Like, what did we talk about today? We talked about stop making excuses. Not really. When to scale and when to pause. So we went over that. Depending on the goal, depending on where you're at. You don't take no for an answer. You don't give no's. You just sign them up and keep going. If you do hit a point where you feel like you're going crazy, stop outbounding. Keep the inbound. If somebody calls you with a property, take it. Don't say, hey, I've got a 3-week lead time. I did that, and I shot myself in the foot when I did that. So don't do that. You just say yes, and you figure it out. It's not like there's 50 people calling you a day anyway, so be realistic. So when to scale, when to pause, most common mistakes hosts make after 3 doors, and we went into detail, and it's strictly like setting it up, having the naivety of being gullible and being naive that you can run 10 at the same way you run 1. Let's see. So we went over that. And then like you start the 1, you don't finish all the systems, you don't do the messaging, and then you get to 3, then you get to 5, then you get to 10, and you got a problem. Now you're just like running around with your hair on fire, and you're like, I'm just going to sell my contracts because it doesn't make any sense. People that are selling contracts at like 10, there's 2 reasons. One, they're not making any money because they don't have, or they have too much overhead. Or 2, they just don't want to do it anymore because they don't know what they're doing, or they haven't set it up on systems yet. Like I meet people like that every day. And then we talk about systemizing and automating without sacrificing guest experience. We went through that. The first 2 kind of lead in. And then, of course, more units does not equal more money. Okay. So we have 2 questions. Actually, we got 1. Sorry. What is recommended for a security deposit? So I would say on average, like $250. If you have a super high-end property, like if you have like a $4 or $5 million home, you might want to do like $1,000, right? You're already booking like $2,000 a night. So I would do like $1,000, maybe more, depending on how, like if you have a 7-night minimum. Like for instance, Christine is in the Poconos. I think they have like the highest grossing property in the Poconos, like $600,000 a year. I would do a security deposit between like $1,000 and $2,000, and it's kind of like sleeps like 25 people, mainly like bachelorette trips, I think. Yeah, your security deposit on that's going to be like pretty high, but you better have some insurance, like high insurance on that place too. So I'd say like $1,000 for security deposit on super high end place, $250 on average. And like OwnerRez will give it all back to them within 2 or 3 days. Like you just choose what you want. And of course you would hold it if they threw a party, mess something up. Like I would just hold the security deposit. So, but good question, Viola. I hope I'm saying that right. I don't know if it's Viola or Viola or voila. Oh, what about that? Voila. So, all right, guys, that would be it. I will give it another minute here for any other questions. I'll just let you guys post something. If we jump off, then just tag me in it or shoot me a message on online. Now, I want you guys to understand, if you are here and you're like here to learn, here to grow, here to fix your systems, here to scale, whatever it is, book a call, send me a DM. We can get on. We can get on a call. We can kind of figure out where you're at, what you're doing, what's working, what's not working. We can put a plan together to kind of like move you forward. Maybe go get a couple of deals or fix your systems and align your automation, whatever. Like if you're struggling, period, at all whatsoever, or maybe you're not struggling, you just want to make some money. Cool. Let's see here. Viola. Okay, that's how you pronounce it. Perfect. Sorry. Didn't mean anything bad when I said voila. What was the name of the insurance company you mentioned? Happy Guest is the other one. So Safely is who we use, and then there's Happy Guest. I think that's it. I can't see all the comments for some reason. I think I caught them all. Okay. Well, cool. So if you need anything at all, you're ready to take it to the next level. Like Joe says, you already have some fun. Shoot me a message on Facebook. Shoot me a DM, and we can jump on. We can chat. We can see where you're at, see what you need help with, and really take it to the next level. And hit your 10K a month goal, 30K a month goal, 50K a month goal, whatever it is. And I will see you later. Thank you, guys.